Hello everyone, my name's Stonsey Boy and welcome back to Reading with Stonsey. Today we're reading chapter 28, or page 295 to 317. So, without further ado, let's begin. Chapter 28, Hydrogen Burning in the Heart of the Sun. Citra Terra Nova, said a voice powerful yet gentle. Citra Terra Nova, can you hear me? Who's that? Someone there? Curious, said a voice, very curious. Being deadish was a pain in the ass, no question about it. When she was once more pronounced legally alive, she awoke the unfamiliar but professionally friendly face of the revival nurse checking her vitals. She tried to look around her, but her neck was still in brace. Welcome back, honey, said the nurse said. The room seemed to spin every time she moved her eyes. It was more than a pain nanites. She must have had all sorts of mumbling, rejuvenating chemicals and microbots inside her. How long? She rasped. Just 2 days, the nurse said cheerfully. A simple spinal severing, nothing too hard for us to handle. 2 days were robbed of her life. 2 days she didn't have to spare. My family? Sorry, honey, but this is a Scythe matter. They weren't notified. The nurse patted her head. You can tell them all about it when you next see them. Now, the best thing for you to do is relax. You'll be here one more day, and then you'll be good as new. Then she offered Citra ice cream. That was the best she ever tasted. That evening, Scythe Curie came and filled her in on all she had missed. Rowan had been disqualified and several reprimands for his poor sportsmanship. Are you telling me that because he was disqualified, I won? Unfortunately, no, Scythe Curie said. But he was clearly going to beat you. But it was decided that both of you lose. We really need to work on your martial arts skills, Citra. That's just great, Citra said, exasperated for every different reason than Scythe Curie thought. So now Rowan and I are both 0 for 2 at Conclave? Scythe Curie sighed. Third time's the charm, she said. Now, with it all come down to how well you do at the Winter Conclave, and I have faith that you will shine in your final test. Citra closed her eyes, remembering the look on Rowan's face when he held her in the headlock. There was something cold there, calculating. In that moment, she saw a side of him that she had never seen before. It was as if he was looking forward to what he was about to do to her, as if he was going to enjoy it. But he was so confused. Did he really plan to move in the beginning? Did he not know he'd be disqualified, or was disqualification his plan? What was Rowan like after it happened, Citra asked Scythe Curie. Did he seem shocked at all what he had done? Did he kneel down to me? Did he help me carry out to the Amber Drone? Scythe Curie took a moment before she answered, then finally said, He just stood here, Citra. His face was a stone, defiant and unrepentant as the scythe. Citra started to turn away, but even though the new brace was now grown, her neck was still too stiff to move. He's not who you think he is anymore, Scythe Curie said, slowly. Though that it would sink in. No, Citra agreed, he's not. But for the life of her, he had no idea who he was now. Rowan thought he would receive another brutal beating when he returned to the mansion. That could have been further from the truth. Scythe Goddard was as flamboyant and bright chatter. He called to the butler to bring champagne in the glasses for everyone, right there in the foyer, so they could toast Rowan's audacity. That took more nerve than I thought you had, Boyd, Goddard said. Here, second Scythe friend. You come by room and break my neck any time. He didn't just break her neck, Scythe Goddard pointed out. He unflinchingly snapped her spine. Everyone heard it. It woke up the Scythe sleeping in the back row. Classic, Scythe Chomsky, guzzling champagne down, not waiting for the toast. It was a powerful statement you made, Scythe said Goddard. It reminded everyone that you are my apprentice, and you are not to be trifled with. And then he became a little quieter, almost gentle. I know you had feelings for that girl, yet you did that needed to be done, and more. I was disqualified, Rowan reminded him. Officially, yes, Goddard agreed, but you gained the admiration of quite a few important spites, and made enemies of others, Volta pointed out. Nothing wrong with drawing a line in the sand, Goddard responded. It takes a strong man to do that, the kind of man I'm happy to raise a glass to. Rowan looked up to see Esme sitting atop of the grand staircase watching them. He wondered if he knew what he had done, and thought she might make him feel ashamed. To Rowan, said Scythe Goddard, holding a glass high, to the scourge of the stiff-necked and the shatterer of spines. It was the most bitter glass Rowan had ever had to swallow. And now, said Goddard, I do believe the party is in order. The party that followed the Harvest Conclave was one of record books. No one was immune to Goddard's contagious energy. Even before the guests arrived and the first 5 DJs cranked up the music, Goddard threw his arms wide in the mansion's ornate living room, and he could reach from wall to wall, and said to no one in particular, I'm in my element, and my element is hydrogen, burning in the heart of the sun. It was so outrageous a thing to say, it even made Rowan laugh. He's so full of crap, Scythe whispered to Rowan, but you gotta love it. As the rooms and terraces of the pool deck began to fill with partiers, Rowan began to rise to the funk he had been left in after his awful bout with Citra. I checked for you, Citra, Scythe Volta told him. Citra's conscious and has one more day in the revival center. She'll be go back home fully recovered with Scythe Curie. No harm, no foul. Well, plenty of foul. That's what you wanted, wasn't it? Rowan didn't answer him. He wondered if anyone else had insightful enough to know that he did what he did. He hoped not. When Volta got serious in the midst of the revelry around them. Don't lose the scythe hood to her, Rowan, he said. At least not on purpose. If she beats you fair and square, that's one thing, but submitting yourself to a blade because of raging hormones is just plain stupid. Maybe Volta was right. Perhaps he should do his best in their final trial, and if his best outshined Citra's, he would accept the scythe ring. And then maybe he would glean himself as his first day and only act. And then he'd never be faced with having to glean the Citra. It comforted Rowan that day way out, even though it was the worst case scenario. The rich and famous arrived by helicopter, by limousine, and the one bizarre but memorable entrance by jetpack. Goddard made the point to introduce Rowan to them all, as if Rowan were a prize worth showing off. Watch this boy, Goddard told his high-profile guest. He's going places. Rowan had never felt so valued and validated. It was hard to hate a man who treated him more like meat rather than lettuce. That's how life is meant to be lived, Goddard told Rowan as they luxuriated in the open space cabinet, looking out over the festivities. Experience all there is to experience and enjoying the company of others, even when some of those others are paid to be here. Goddard looked at the crowded pool deck and would have been far less dense and far less beautiful had it not been for the presence of a professional party guest. There are always extras in every production, he told Rowan. They fill in the gaps that make for pleasant scenery. We wouldn't want everyone to be a celebrity, would we? They do nothing but fight. In the pool net went up, the dozens gathered the game of volleyball. Look around you, Rowan, Goddard said in other contentment. Have you ever experienced such good times as these? The commoners love us not because of the way we glean, but because of the way we live. We need to accept our role as a new royalty. Rowan didn't need to see himself as royalty, but he was willing to play along, at least today. So he went to the pool and jumped in, declaring himself the captain of the team and joining Scythe Goddard's loyal subjects in their game. The thing about Scythe Goddard's parties is that it was very difficult not to have a good time. No matter how hard you tried, and with all the good feelings that were abounded, it was easy to forget all the ruthless butcher Goddard was. But was he a killer of Scythes? Citra hadn't directly accused Goddard, but it was clear that he was her prime suspect. Citra's investigation was troubling, yet try as he might, Rowan could not find a single instance since he had been in Goddard's presence where Goddard did anything that was illegal by Scythe law. His interpretation of the commandments might have been stretches, but nothing he did was an actual violation. Even his gleaning rampage was not forbidden by anything but custom and tradition. The old god despises me because I live and glean with the flair they solely lack, Goddard had told Rowan. They're a crowd of bitter backstabbers, envious that I found the secret of being a perfect scythe. Well, perfection was subjective. Rowan certainly wouldn't call the man a perfect scythe, but there was nothing in Goddard's repertoire and malfeasance that would suggest he would murder Faraday. On the third day of this seemingly unending bash, there were two unexpected party guests, or at least unexpected to Rowan. The first was High Blade Zinocres himself. What is he doing here? Rowan asked Scythe Chomsky, where he saw the High Blade come out of the pool. Don't ask me, I didn't invite him. It seemed strange that the High Blade would show up at a party of high controversial Scythe. But he didn't appear comfortable being there at all. He seemed self-conscious and tried to be inconspicuous, but a man of such mighty girth, festooned in gold, is hard not to see. He stood out like a hot air balloon in an otherwise empty field. It was, however, the second guest that shocked Rowan more. He was stripping down his bathing suit as seconds after the pool deck, and no one other than Rowan's friend, Tiger Salazar, who Rowan hadn't seen since the day he showed him Scythe Faraday's weapons den. Rowan made a beeline to him, pulling him aside a second topiary hedge. What the hell are you doing here? Hey, Rowan, Tiger said with a signature slanted grin. Good to see you too, man. You're looking buff. What'd they deject you with? Nothing. It's all real, and you didn't answer my question. Why are you here? Do you know how much trouble you could be in if anyone found out you snuck in? This isn't like crashing a school dance. Take it easy. I'm not crashing anything. I've just signed up with the Guests Unlimited. I'm a licensed partier now. Tiger had often boasted a professional party guest was his life ambition, but Rowan had never taken him seriously. Tiger, this is a really bad idea. Worse than any of your other bad ideas. Then he whispered, professional partiers sometimes have to do things you might not be up for. I know. I've seen it. Dude, you know me. I go where the day takes me. And your parents are okay with it? Tiger looked down. His upbeat demeanor suddenly stubborn. My parents surrendered me. What? You're kidding. Tiger shrugged. One splat too many. They gave up. Now I'm a ward of the Thunderhead. I'm sorry, Tiger. Hey, don't be. Believe it or not, the Thunderhead's a better father than my father was. I get good advice now and get asked about my day was by someone who actually seems to care. Just like everything else about the Thunderhead, his parenting skills were indisputable. Like being surrendered by his parents had to hurt. Somehow, noted Rowan, I don't think the Thunderhead advised you to be a professional party boy. No, but it can't stop me. It's my choice to make. Anyway, it pays pretty good. He looked around to make sure no one was listening, then leaned in close and whispered, "Well, you know what pays even better?" Rowan was afraid to ask. What? The word on the street is that you've been training with live subjects, and that kind of work pays top dollar. Do you think you could put in a word for me? I mean, I go deadish all the time. Might as well get paid for it. Rowan stared at him in disbelief. Are you nuts? Do you even know what you're saying? Oh my God, what are you on? Just my own nanites, man. Just my own nanites. Scythe Volta felt lucky to be in Goddard's inner circle. Most of the time, the youngest Goddard's 3 junior Scythes, he saw himself in the balancing force. Chomsky was brainless brawn. Rand was animus, the wild force of nature among them. Volta was the sensible one who saw more than he let to know. Yet, he was the first to see Xecrates arrive at the party and watch it unsuccessfully try to avoid encounters. He ended up shaking hands with a number of the other guest Scythes, so for regions as far-flung as Pan-Asia and Euroscandia. It was all within the reluctance of Xenocrates that Volta knew the man wasn't here entirely by choice. Volta positioned himself near Goddard to see if he could get a bead on exactly what was going on. When Goddard saw his high blade, he stood in an obligatory sign of respect. "Your Excellency, what an honor it is to have you in my little get-together." "Not so little," answered Socrates. "Volta!" ordered Goddard. "Bring us 2 chairs poolside so we could be closer to all the action." And although such a task was normally left to the servants, Volta did not complain, because it gave him the perfect excuse to eavesdrop on them. He placed 2 chairs on the flagstone patio by the deep end of the pool. "Closer," said Goddard, so Volta placed the chairs close enough for the 2 of them to splash by anyone choosing to use the diving board. "Stay nearby," he told Volta, quietly, which is exactly what Volta would intended to do. "Something to eat, Your Excellency?" Volta asked, gesturing to the buffet table just a few yards away. "No, thank you, no," he said. And for this, from a man who had a reputation for being quite the gourmand, was telling in of itself. "And we meet here?" Xenocrates asked. "Wouldn't you prefer to speak in a quiet room?" "None of our rooms are quiet today," Goddard said. "Yes, but this is far too public a forum." "Nonsense, this isn't a forum," said Goddard. "It's more like Nero's palace." Volta chimed in with heavy but staged laugh, but he had to play toady. He would own the part today. "Well, let's hope it doesn't become a coliseum," said Xenocrates, a little bit of bite in his words. Goddard chuckled at the thought. "Believe me, I'd be more than happy to throw a few tonists to the lions." A party goer, one of the paid ones, did a perfect triple grainer off the diving board, a splash leaving a streak across the high blade's heavy robe. "Don't you think this ostentatious lifestyle will catch up to you?" Xenocrates asked. "I can't catch up to me if I keep moving," Goddard said with a smirk. "I'm nearly done with this place. I've been looking at real estate down south. But that's not what I mean, and you know it. So why so tense, Your Excellency?" "Yeah, Goddard, I invited you here because I wanted you to see firsthand what a positive thing my parties are for the Scythedom. Good public relations all around. You should be throwing grand galas at your own home. You forget I live in a log cabin." Goddard narrowed his eyes, not quite a glare, but close. "Yes, a log cabin perched atop the tallest building in Fulcrum City. At least I'm not a hypocrite, Xenocrates. I don't feign humility." And when the high blade said something to Goddard that was a surprise to Volta, although in retrospect it shouldn't have been a surprise at all. "My greatest mistake," said Xenocrates, "was choosing you as an apprentice all those years ago." "Let's hope so," said Goddard. "I hate to think that you've yet to make your greatest mistake." It was a threat about actually being a threat. Goddard was remarkably good at that. "So tell me," said Goddard, "does fortune smile on my apprentice as it has on yours?" Now Volta's ears pricked up, wondering of what fortune Goddard meant. Xenocrates took a deep breath and let it out. "Fortune is smiling. The girl was seized to the issue within a week. I'm sure of it." Another diver splashed him, and Xenocrates put his hands to shield himself from it. But Goddard didn't flinch in the least. "Cease to be an issue? That could mean any number of things." Volta looked around until he spotted Rowan. He seemed to have been a heated discussion of the party boy, Citra. Ceasing to be an issue would be the best thing for Rowan as far as Volta was concerned. "Are we done now? May I lead?" "Just a moment," said Goddard. Then he turned and called toward the shallow end of the pool. Esme, come here. There's someone I want you to meet." The look of terror that came over High Blade's face was chilling. It was indeed getting more interesting by the minute. "Please, Goddard, no." "What's the harm?" Goddard said. Esme, water wings and all, came trotting along the pool's edge to him. "Yes," sighed Goddard. He beckoned her to sit on his lap, facing the man in gold. "Esme, do you know who this is? A Scythe?" Not just any Scythe, it's Xenocrates, the High Blade of Mid-America. He's Mr. Big. Hi, he said. Xenocrates offered a pained nod and not meeting the girl's eye. His discomfort was a counter radiated like heat. Volta wondered if Goddard had a point or if he was just being cruel. I think we've met before, Esme said, a very long time ago. Xenocrates said nothing. Our esteemed friend is far too uptight, Goddard said. He needs to join the party. Don't you agree with Esme? Esme shrugged. He should have as much fun like everyone else. Wiser words have never been spoken, said Goddard. Then he reached behind him out of Esme's line of sight toward Volta and snapped his fingers. Volta drew in a slow, silent breath. He knew what Goddard was asking of him, but Volta was reluctant. Now he regretted being part of this at all. Maybe you should show your moves on the dance floor, Your Excellency, said Goddard. Then my guests could laugh at you just the way they made the entire Scythedom laugh at me in Conclave. Do you think I forgot about that? Goddard still reached back toward Volta, now wriggling his fingers impatiently, and Volta had no choice but to give him what he wanted. A young Scythe reached into one of the many secret pockets of the yellow robe and pulled out a small dagger, placing it on the hilt of Goddard's hand. Goddard closed his fingers around it, ever so gently, ever so inconspicuously, thought to the edge of the dagger just an inch on Esme's neck. The girl didn't see it, she didn't know it was there at all, but Xenocrates did. He froze in place, eyes wide, jaw slightly ajar. I know, said Goddard cheerfully. Why don't you go for a swim? Please, he begged Xenocrates. This is not necessary. Oh, but I insist. I don't think he wants to go swimming, said Esme, but everyone goes swimming at my parties. Don't do this, he begged the High Blade. Goddard's response was bringing the blade even closer to Esme's unsuspecting neck. Now even Volta was sweating. No one's ever gleaned at one of Goddard's parties, but there was always a first time. Volta knew this battle of wills, and the only thing that kept him from intervening was ripping the dagger away from Goddard, was knowing that who would blink first. Damn you, Goddard, said Xenocrates. He stood up and threw himself into the pool, gourd, adornments, and all. Rowan heard none of what transpired between Xenocrates and Goddard, but he did see the High Blade hurl himself into the deep end, creating a cannonball splash that drew everyone's attention. Xenocrates went down, but didn't come back up. He sank to the bottom, someone said. It's all that gold. Rowan had no great love of the High Blade, but he also didn't want to see a man drown. It wasn't like he fell, he had jumped, and if he drowned, trapped in his own golden robe, it would be considered a self-gleaning. Rowan dove into the pool, and so did Tiger, following his lead. They swam to the bottom where Xenocrates was bubbling out his last bit of air. Rowan grabbed the man's heavy, multi-layer robe, tagging it over his head. Both he and Tiger helped the High Blade up to the surface, where he gasped, coughed, and sputtered. The crowd around them applauded. Now he didn't look much like a High Blade. He was just a fat man in wet, golden underwear. I guess I must have lost my balance, he said, trying to jovial about it and attempting to put a new spin on what had happened. Maybe others believed it, but Rowan had seen him throw himself in. There was no confusing what it was an accidental fall. Why on earth would he have done that? Wait, said Xenocrates, looking at his right hand. My ring! I'll get it, said Tiger, who was the party boy of the hour, and dove to the bottom to retrieve it. Chomsky had arrived at the scene, and he and Volta reached down the pool's edge to haul Xenocrates out of the water. It was humiliating as it could be for the man. He looked like an overstuffed net of fish, being hauled into a deck of a trawler. Goddard wrapped a large towel around the High Blade, uncharacteristically sheepish. I truly apologize, said Goddard. It had never occurred to me that you might actually drown. It wouldn't have been a good thing for anyone. And Rowan realized there was not only one person of Xenocrates to haul into the pool, because Goddard had ordered him to. Which meant that Goddard had so much power, a much stronger hold on the High Blade than anyone knew. But how? Can I go? Said Esme. Of course you can, said Goddard, giving her a kiss on the forehead. Then Esme wandered off, searching for playmates among the children of the stars. Tiger surfaced with the ring. Xenocrates grabbed it with much of a thank you and slipped it on his finger. I tried to get his robe too, but it's just too heavy, said Tiger. We'll get someone with scuba gear to go down on the treasure dive, quipped Goddard, although they may claim salvage rights. Are you quite finished, said Xenocrates, because I want to leave. Of course, Your Excellency. Then High Blade of Mid-America left the pool deck and went back to the house dripping wet, leaving behind whatever dignity he had ride with. Damn, I should have kissed his ring when I had the chance, Tiger laminated. Immunity right there in my hand, and I blew it. Once Xenocrates was gone, Goddard called out to the crowd. Anyone who uploads pictures of the High Blade Xenocrates into the other will be gleaned immediately. And everyone laughed, then stopped when they realized he was not joking in the least. As the party wrapped up and Scythe Goddard said goodbye to his important guest, Rowan watched, taking in everything. So I'll see you at the next party, right? The Tiger said, breaking his focus. Maybe next time they'll sign me earlier, and so I get to hang for more than just the last day. The fact that Tiger was about as deep as the fountain out front and the irritation to Rowan. Funny, but he had never been bothered by Tiger's shallow nature before, perhaps because Rowan hadn't been much different. Sure, he wasn't the thrill-seeker Tiger was, but in his own way, Tiger glided on the surface of his life. Who could have known that his ice was so treacherously thin? Now he was in the place too deep for Tiger to ever understand. Sure, Tiger, next time. Tiger left with the other professional party people, with whom he had to share much more common now than with Rowan. Rowan wondered if there was anyone from his old life that he would relate to anymore. Scythe Goddard passed him, standing by the entryway. If you're practicing with neoclassical statue, I would get you a pedestal, he said. Of course, we already have enough statuary around here without you. Sorry, Your Honor, I wasn't thinking. Too much of that could be dangerous. I was wondering why the High Blade jumped into the pool, and why the way he did. He fell accidentally. He said so himself. No, I saw it, insisted Rowan. He jumped. Well then, how should I know? You have to ask him, although I don't think bringing up such an embarrassing moment to the High Blade will work in your favor. Then he changed the subject. You seem to be awfully friendly with one of the party boys. Should I invite more of them for you next time? No, it's nothing like that, said Rowan, blushing in spite of himself. Just a friend from home, I see. And you invited him? Rowan shook his head. He signed up without me even knowing. If it is up to me, he wouldn't have to be here at all. Why not? Said Goddard. Your friends are my friends. Rowan didn't respond to that. He never knew whether Goddard was serious or just baiting him. Rowan's silence just made Goddard laugh. Light it up, boy! It was a party, not an inquisition. He clapped Rowan on the shoulder and sauntered away. If Rowan had any sense, he would have left it at that, but he didn't. People are saying that Scythe Faraday was killed by another Scythe. Goddard stopped in his tracks and slowly turned back to Rowan. Is that what people are saying? Rowan took a deep breath and shrugged, trying to make it seem like it was nothing, trying to be backpedal. But it was too late for that. It's just a rumor. And you think I might somehow be involved? Are you? Asked Rowan. Scythe Goddard stepped closer, seeming to look through Rowan's facade, to the dark, rigid place where he now dwelled. What are you accusing me of, boy? Nothing, Your Honor. It's just a question to clear the air. Then he tried to return his gaze, looking to Goddard's own cold place, and he found it opaque and unfathomable. Consider the air cleared, Goddard said. There's a sarcastic lightness in the air. Look around you, Rowan. Do you think for one instant that I would jeopardize all this by breaking the seventh commandment to rid the world of a washed-up old guard Scythe? Faraday gleaned himself because deep down he knew it would be a more meaningful act than he had ever performed in over 100 years. The time for this is over. He knew it, and if your little girlfriend is trying to make a case for foul play, she better think twice before accusing me, because I would glean her whole family the day their immunity expires. If that would constitute malice, Your Honor, said Rowan in their polite resolve, you would be charged with breaking the second commandment. For a moment, Goddard looked ready to carve up Rowan then and there, and fire in his eyes was swallowed by the unfathomable death. Always looking out for me, aren't you? I do my best, Your Honor. Goddard stared at him for a moment more, and then said, Tomorrow you'll train with pistols against moving targets. You render all but one of your subjects deadish with a single bullet. Or I will personally, without bias or malice, glean that party boy friend of yours. What? Was I any way unclear? No, Your Honor, I understand. And the next time you make an accusation, you better be damn sure it's true and not just insulting. Goddard stormed away and letting his robe swell behind him like a cape. Before he let out earshot, he said, Of course, if I did kill Scythe Faraday, I wouldn't be so stupid as to admit it to you. He's just messing with you, Scythe Volta hung out the throne that evening in the game room, shooting pool. But I do think you insulted him. I mean, killing another Scythe? That never happened. I think maybe it did. Rowan took a shot. He missed the balls completely. His head wasn't in it. He shouldn't even remember if it was stripes or solids. I think maybe Citra is messing with you too. Have you even considered that? Volta took a shot, sinking both striped ball and a solid, which didn't help Rowan in knowing what he was going for. I mean, look at you. You're a basket case. He was playing head games with you when you didn't even see it. She's not like that, said Rowan, choosing a striped ball and sinking it in. Apparently it was the right choice because Volta let him play on. People change, said Volta, especially an apprentice. Being a Scythe's apprentice is all about change. Why do you think we give up our names and never use them again? It's because by the time we're ordained, we are different people, professional gleaners instead of candy-ass kids. She's working you like chewing gum, and I broke her neck, you mind, Rowan, so I guess we're even. You don't even want to be even. You want to go into Winter Conclave with a clear advantage, or at least feeling like you have one. Esme popped in just long enough to say, I play the winner, then left. Best argument for losing ever, grumbled Volta. I should take her on my morning runs, Rowan suggested. She could use the exercise. It might get her into better shape. True, said Volta, but she comes by her weight naturally. It's genetic. How would you know? And then Rowan got it. It was staring him in the face, but he was too close to see. No, you're kidding me. Volta shook his head nonchalantly. I have no idea what you're talking about. Xenocrate? Tease? It's your shot, said Volta. If it came out of High Blade and his illegitimate daughter, it would destroy him. He'd be in serious violation. You know what would be even worse, said Volta, if the daughter that no one knew about got herself gleaned. Rowan ran a dozen things through his new lens. It all made sense now. The way Esme was spared at the food court, the way she was treated, what was it Goddard said? That she was the most important person he'd meet that day. The key to the future. But she won't get Glean, Rowan said. Not as long as Xenocrates does whatever Goddard says, like a jump in a deep end of a pool. Alta nodded slowly. Among other things, Rowan took a shot and accidentally sunk the 8-ball, ending the game. I win, said Volta. Damn, now I have to play Esme. I'm an apprentice to a monster. Scythe Faraday was right. Someone who enjoys killing would never be a Scythe. It goes against everything the founders wanted. This is the Scythe that is turning into. Someone has to stop it. But it can't be me, because I think I'm becoming a monster too. Rowan looked at what he wrote and carefully, quietly tore the page out, crumpled it, and tossed it into the flames of the bedroom fireplace. Goddard always read his journal. As Rowan's mentor, it was prerogative to do so. But it had taken forever to Rowan to learn how to write his true thoughts, his true feelings. Now he had to learn to hide them again. It was a matter of survival, so he picked up his pen and wrote a new official entry. Today I killed 12 moving targets using 12 bullets. I saved the life of my friend. Scythe Goddard sure knows how to motivate someone to do their best. No denying that. I'm getting better. I'm learning more and more each day, perfect by mind, my body, and by aim. Scythe Goddard is proud of my progress. Someday I hope I can repay him and give him what he deserves in return for all he's done for me. And that ends that. So today we read pages 295 to 317 and chapter 28. And next time, wrong thing. Next time we will be reading page 318 to 332. Wow, so what is that? 14 pages? That's not too bad at all. Oh, and of course, chapters 29. Oh, I think, yeah, just flat chapter 29. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. But you know, it's time for Learning Corner of the Day, doing it up Stonsey's way. Bop. Today we are reading about the Dandie Dinmont Terrier. Doo-da. Dandie Dinmont Terrier. Oh, doo-da day. Alright, the Dandie Dinmont Terrier. And you guys can probably see my weird reaction from the last episode. Because, well, someone shaved my poodle and gave it a different body. As that, I mean, it's really weird looking. It's a weird looking dog. Nothing I can say else besides that. Now, what's the history? What can we learn about the Dandie Dinmont Terrier? Do-do-do-da-day. History of the Dandie Dinmont Terrier stands out as the most unusual terrier in appearance. Yeah, its roots are as quintessentially terrier as any. It first appeared as a distinct type of terrier in the 18th century around the border country of Scotland and England. There are many owned by farmers, gypsies, and valued of strong and killing otters, badgers, and foxes. At one time, they were known as Catclew, Hindley, or Pepper and Mustard Terriers. Most were well known of these dogs were owned by James Davidson, named almost all his dogs either Pepper or Mustard along the sub-identifying adjective. Davidson and his dogs were believed by some to have been models for Sir Walter Scott's characters of Dandie Dinmont and his dogs in his novel Guy Mannering, published in 1814. Maybe a book we'll read in the future. The dogs became known as Dandie Dinmont Terriers, doo-dah. A letter written by James Davidson proclaimed that Dandies descended from two of his dogs named Tar and Pepper, and one time the breed was included to be a general family of Scotch Terriers, which was encompassed several short-legged terriers now recognized as distinct breeds. The Dandie was recognized separately from his group in 1873. The Dandie Dinmont was ever extremely popular and remains one of the lesser-known terriers. An old Scottish saying says, "A dandy looks at you as though he's forgotten more than you ever knew." Wow. Interesting. It has its own saying, and it's in its own book. Nice. Now, what's the temperament? How can I get this author-bound animal into my presence? Well, the temperament of the Dandie Dinmont Terrier is no dandified dog. It is rough and tumble and ready for the hunt. Yet it functions well as a dignified house pet, affectionate but not dotting. It's a loyal companion suitable for people of all ages, but it does not need daily exercise to keep it from being frustrated. It is intelligent and very independent. It tends to be reserved with strangers and aggressive towards strange dogs. Some dig. Do you dig it? Alright. Now, what's the upkeep? This dog doesn't have much hair, so I bet not much, but it's still a hunter and a terrier, so maybe some. The upkeep of the Dandie Dinmont Terrier is that the Dandie enjoys a chance to hunt around and explore a safe area and needs a moderate walk to stay in condition. It does its best as an indoor-outdoor dog and should sleep inside. Its coat needs combing twice weekly, plus regular scissoring and shaping. Striping for show dogs is done on almost continual but light basis. but for pets can be done by stripping or clipping about 4 times a year when clipped. The coat will lose its characteristic texture and color. Now for the worst part, the health. What makes our Dandie Dinmont Terrier a little ineffective? Now, the major concerns are nothing, which is good. Minor concerns are intervertebral disc disease and glaucoma, so I guess something with the legs, which makes sense, they are close to the ground. They're occasionally seen with Cheletella mites, I guess a type of mites that you only get from close to the ground. Suggested tests are on the eyes, and the lifespan is 11 to 13, which is not as good as the other terriers, but still pretty good. The form and function of the Dandie Dinmont Terrier is that unlike the prototypical terrier, the Dandie is made up of a series of curves ending in a similar shaped tail of moderate length. The Dandie is almost twice as long as tall, constructed to go around over enough after tough quarry. Its hind legs are definitely longer than its front legs. Its gait is free and easy. Distinctive coat made up of 2/3 hardish, not wiry hair, and 1/3 soft hair. It's about 2 inches in length. The head is covered with soft, silky hair, lending to the appearance of the large head. Top knot also enhances the expression, which is determined, dignified, soft, and wise. The tassel and the ear tips are the same texture and color as the top knot and enhance the look. Now, for the final part of today's episode, the tier list. 5 is the best, 4 is better, 3 is average, 2 is the worst, and 1 is the worst, unless it comes to grooming. Now, this is a long list. Energy level, exercise requirements, playfulness, affection level, friendliness towards dogs, and other pets are all at a 3, so pretty average across the board. Friendliness towards strangers, however, is at a 1. Ease of training is at a 2, so a little easier than average. Watchdog ability is at a 4 with a protection ability of 1. Grooming requirements, sadly, is at a 3, as it is part show dog. Cold and heat tolerance are at a 3, so pretty average. The weight of a healthy male or female Dandie Dinmont Terrier is 18 to 24 pounds, and the height of a healthy Dandie Dinmont Terrier is 8 to 11 inches, because if it were feet, we'd be living in a world of giants. Well, that's interesting. The next breed of animal we're going to be reading has 2 variants of it, which is interesting and are going to compile into 2 of its own separate episodes. And that is something you'll learn about in the next episode. So I hope you guys have a super fantastic, wonderful day. Be polite, be efficient, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!